For lack of better words, I am fucking pissed. All it takes is one interaction to really learn about someone's true colors. In this specific scenario, it was from one singular text message that consisted of maybe 9 to 12 words. I don't remember exactly, but it was somewhere in that range where it was so minuscule. But those 9 to 12 words told me everything I needed to know about this woman, and that I had made the correct decision to cut her out of my life completely. I'm gonna go back all the way back when I first started talking to this girl a couple of months ago, just so you guys have some context. I reconnected with the girl from a long time ago who I used to go to school with. We had just reconnected randomly out of the blue. I'm pretty sure she hit me up over something that I posted like on my Snapchat story or something, whatever. Grill me in the comments, 22-year-old man using Snapchat. I don't give a fuck, okay? I don't even really use it. Sometimes I post cool stuff on my story that I'm doing or whatever, as anybody fucking does that's around my age, okay? She hits me up or whatever, and we just, you know, we start talking again. We kind of catch up, and then we are talking a lot, right? Now, this is someone whom I used to be very good friends with and even had an emotional connection with, or romantic connection with way back when we were, you know, kids and when we were younger. You could argue that it wasn't really, you know, a real thing because this was when I was in maybe 8th or 9th grade that this was happening between us. Nonetheless, she was one of my very first girlfriends and a girl that I really liked way back when. So we reconnected. We were just talking about stupid shit, catching up as old friends. I haven't talked to her since we graduated from high school in 2022. After reconnecting, initially, we began to talk a lot. We would just text during the day, throughout the day. She would text me randomly and say hi to me and ask me what was up, what I was doing. I would do the same. We would FaceTime, we would call. And when we FaceTimed and called, we would talk for hours. There was this one night where we literally talked until 6 in the morning and we were on FaceTime for like 7 hours. So I was really starting to catch a vibe that this girl maybe kind of wanted to reconnect on that emotional level. And I don't think that I'm crazy for thinking that. Fast forward about a couple weeks of talking. Now, keep in mind, I haven't seen her in 4 years, so this was a little bit of jump of the gun, but she does live pretty far away from me, a plane ride at that. Anyway, after a couple weeks of us talking, I end up getting on a plane to go visit her before she's about to graduate from school. It was a great time. I flew out there, we hung out, reconnected. It was a little awkward at first. I mean, of course it would be, even though we used to be very close once. It's awkward at first when you know, hang out with anyone that you haven't seen in a very long time, especially an ex-girlfriend. It ended up being fun. I had a great time. I met all her friends. Her friends seemed to enjoy my presence as well. We went out to the bars, just had some drinks, just overall had a good time, right? It was a good experience. So I end up flying back home to Florida. We kind of just keep talking the same way that we were. Not as much as we had initially, and this was the first red flag that I ignored, okay? After this hangout, I don't know if I came onto her too hard because, like I said, I was already kind of catching this vibe that maybe she was, you know, kind of into me in that way. So when I arrived to hang out with her this first time, I had brought her flowers, and I had tried to make it pretty obvious that I was kind of into her like that, even though we hadn't talked in so long. I might have jumped the gun a little bit by doing this and, you know, buying her flowers. Maybe I might have came on too hard. Long story short, it was a good time, and I don't really think that she thought much of it as much as I really did. You know, I wasn't looking super deep into it, and I don't think she was either. I end up going back home. We still talk, but not as much as we were. A couple weeks later go by, and then she ends up kind of in my area where I live in Florida for something. Basically had hit me up and said, hey, we should hang out again. And I'm like, all right, yeah, cool. I'm down. So I go to hang out with her. I want to say a month had gone by from those in between these first two hangouts. We ended up going out to the club, and I made a move on her and we kissed, and then we kissed in the club. She went back home or whatever, and that was it. It was just all around a good time. Same vibes, just chill. But then after we had kissed, I'm saying to myself, okay, I think that this is really kind of going in the direction of that we have mutual feelings for each other, even if they aren't very strong. And keep in mind, we hadn't spent one-on-one time together at this point, which honestly should have been my first red flag because it hadn't been super apparent to me that she was trying to make one-on-one time, especially when I initially visited that very first time. Maybe she was a little nervous. Maybe she wanted to hang out one-on-one to get to know each other, you know, after it had been so long. At the end of the day, it had been years since I had last seen her, so we were very much so... fuck was that sound? But I think another red flag that I ignored, and man, this just little side note, man, guys, this girl is an objectively hot girl, okay? She is very attractive. When I mean she's very attractive, I felt like the fucking man when I was with her in the bar, because as we walked through the bar, I noticed every single guy in the bar looking at her as we would walk through the bar, and man, I just felt like the fucking man. One thing I slowly started to notice after just this second hangout was that she didn't really go out of her way to make one-on-one time with me, despite giving giving me indications of interest over the phone, while I, on the other hand, did. And I always I never really directly said it until later on in this story, but that was the first red flag I ignored. The second red flag that I ignored was that she never offered to buy me a round of drinks. Let me say this. I don't expect women to buy me things when we are out, okay? I was raised very traditionally. I won't really let women pay for stuff if I'm out with them, especially if I like them. But just in general, if I'm out with women, even women that are just my friends or run in my circle, I'll try to buy them drinks or buy them food. I just think that's how it should be, right? I'm very traditional in my beliefs, and I think that men in general should just provide for women. Thing is, as a man who acts like that, I want to see some form of appreciation. That could be as little as a thank you, or as little as, you know, Mark, you've bought the last 5 drinks, let me get you this one. And if a girl says that, I'll say no. I'll say no, it's totally fine. I never really got that appreciation from her. I can't recall one time where she offered to buy me a drink or anything. I actually received more appreciation from her friends. Anyway, after we had kissed, that's when I'm like, okay, the physical barrier is like officially broken. It might have been a little unrealistic for me to think that this could actually turn into something like real in a romantic way. The circumstances were against me in as much as she lived very far away. We're in completely different paths of life, right? I didn't go to college. She did. She's kind of figuring out her next steps in life. I'm figuring out my next steps in life. We live far away. We've both got a lot of shit going on, which I totally get, and it's completely normal for two 22-year-old people. Now, after all of this, I ended up going to the area where she lived at again for something else, just completely random and family related. I basically hit her up and I said, hey, we should hang out, and we did. And it was just the same exact thing happened. It was good. We went out, we had some drinks, we hung out. It was a good time. At the end of this night again, just kissed in a very passionate, if you will, manner, a lot more than the previous time that we had got together. So now I'm just thinking it's slowly getting more and more kind of intimate in that way, and I think feelings are growing in a mutual manner. In between these hangouts, her messages to me and the way that she acted over the phone did slowly start to fizzle out, and it was something that I picked up on very quickly. I didn't know if this was because maybe she felt like she was starting to develop feelings for me and wanted to kind of pull away because it was unrealistic at its core, as I explained earlier, or if she just was slowly losing interest. I've been in this position plenty of times. From my experience, when a girl begins to kind of pull away, especially over the phone, it's usually for one of two reasons. Number one, it's because she's met someone that she likes more, or number two, she is just starting to lose interest, which is, you know, so I just kind of assumed that it was either one of those two things. We still stayed in touch a decent amount and talked, sent each other Snapchats every day, talked occasionally on the phone. 3 times in a row, we hung out and things were just like normal. They were cool. Feelings felt like they were starting to develop mutually between us, especially after we had shared, you know, multiple kissing interactions. Before I leave to go back home from this most recent hangout, she says, hey, I'm actually going to be, you know, back in Florida for whatever in about a week and a half. We should hang out again. Yeah, I'm down. Let me just let me know. I'm so down. She talked about it for a while, right? Even on our second hangout, she had brought it up that she's going to be back in Florida at this time, just invited me to come hang out with them again. Even if it was just for like one night, she was just coming over here with her girlfriends to just hang out or do something. But she still said we should try to get together at least one night, and I think it will be a good time. So I said, sure, of course I'm down, especially since I thought that feelings were growing mutually between us. Fast forward to when she actually is in Florida in my area. And I know she is because I can see what she's posting on her story and shit. And she doesn't give me the light of, she doesn't send me a singular message about us getting together one time. She leaves me undelivered, unseen on my texts for the whole weekend, pretty much, right? Like 2.5 days, almost 3 full days. I took this as a big slap in the face and as completely disrespectful, because not only the more that we hung out, the more she started to slowly pull away and be drier and drier over text. She stopped calling me. She started taking longer to respond to my messages slowly over time after these first couple of hangouts. So I just thought that she was losing interest. And then when she came here, after gassing it up for so long, being like, we should hang out next time in Florida, and then when she's here, she didn't say a word to me for that whole weekend, and I was pretty upset about it. It was something that I was really looking forward to, and it just felt like a complete slap in the face when she didn't say a single word to me when she was here about when she had been talking about it for, you know, multiple weeks that we should get together next time I'm in Florida. So after this big slap in the face, I just completely took her disinterest clear as day, and I unadded her on everything, and I said, you know what, I'm just gonna give myself closure and put this relationship to sleep and stop thinking about it so much, because it was eating away at me so much. I had such strong feelings for her that I just needed closure and to like put this to bed, because if she was showing me this much disinterest, I had to put it to bed. So I unadded her on everything after this quote-unquote slap in the face that I said, and I sent her this message after she asked me why I unadded her. My message reads, "I'm sorry it was out of the blue and a somewhat rash decision in the moment, but I guess I just had a different view on things between us. It's nothing personal. I liked you, but it's unrealistic and your disinterest is clear. And I can't be friends with someone that I wanted to get to really know on a personal and romantic level. I thought it was like that when we first started talking and we talked so much. Then after it started fizzling out, I was stressing so much over it before it's got to the point now where I think about you so often it gets in the way of other things I need to be doing. For that reason, I just can't stay in touch with you anymore. I wish it could be different. I appreciate everything you've done for me and I wish you the absolute best. You are a beautiful and sweet woman that deserves the world. Take care of yourself." I just had to cut it off for my own well-being. You know, I'm at a point in my life where I am prioritizing my own well-being over anything else because I am just at a point in my life where I can't afford to be putting energy into things where I'm not getting a return on. I send this message and she doesn't respond for over an entire day. Now, you would think that after, I'm not gonna say everything that me and this girl had been through because to be completely truthful, we really hadn't been really through that much and we didn't really know each other on a very personal level. So I thought that she's gonna message me back after sitting with that for a little while, provide some sort of her emotional input or, you know, maybe ask how I was doing or just provide some sort of depth to the conversation. The text message that I received following my paragraph, probably the last thing that I expected. This is the message. "And you wanted to remove my friends too." That was the only thing she responded with after I just poured out all my feelings on that paragraph. No emotional input whatsoever. No asking or show of concern about my emotions or anything like that. Yes, I removed her friends from Snapchat and I unfollowed them on Instagram. Why? Well, if my first message didn't make it clear enough as to why I would do that, following her friends on social media platforms means that I am seeing pictures and videos of her, and that's not what I want to see. I don't even want to bear to see photos of this girl that I really, really like that ultimately fucking friend-zoned me and just showed complete uninterest. I am just fully disconnecting from this relationship, if that's even what we can call it at this point, and I'm just moving on with my life. I'm dropping it. I'm giving myself closure, and I'm just fucking moving on. The thing that made me the most upset about this message was like, man, you're not even gonna ask how I'm doing or like show any care about my well-being or just anything like that. You're not even gonna provide your own emotional insight to this situation in any way, shape, or form. You're just gonna get upset that I unadded your friends on socials? That's your concern? That is your concern! The craziest part of this to me was, I promise your friends don't care that I unadded them on social medias, okay? You barely fucking cared to see that I unadded you. It took you a whole fucking day to even notice that I did. You barely even cared that I unadded you. I don't think your friends give a quarter of a fuck that I unadded them on social media, okay? I don't think they fucking care. And it was for my own well-being because I cannot bear to see any more pictures of videos of you because I really liked you and you fucking friend-zoned the fuck out of me. Like I said in my first long paragraph message, I said you're a beautiful and sweet woman that deserves the world, and I truly mean that from the bottom of my heart. I have nothing personal against her. She's an amazing woman and I wish her the absolute best. I wish you the best, but I hope I never know about it or hear about it. That's basically my bottom line. I'm not saying that this girl is a bad person by any means. For all I know, I'm misinterpreting this entire situation. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm some fucking perfect man or philosopher and I'm, you know, I fucking read every single person's emotion and I know exactly how everyone feels because I don't. Like I said, I could be, for all I know, completely misjudging this entire situation. Even if I am, I'll never know because I am not responding to that message. I'm deleting it. I got the closure I needed with that paragraph I sent. Am I upset that we are no longer friends because I truly did enjoy her company and having her as a friend? Yes, absolutely. I can't be putting my energy into a girl that I have emotional feelings for that clearly doesn't feel the same way. Anytime we hang out, if she just wants to be friends, it's just gonna suck because I want it to be more than that. I'm sorry that she has to lose me as a friend because for what it's worth, I know that she did value our friendship to some degree. But when I received that message, man, I was just sad. I was in complete and utter shock. I just thought that maybe she was gonna say something of more depth. Guys, don't ignore the red flags. Remember who the fuck you are. Don't let yourself get slapped in the face. And if you do, don't take it personally. Everyone's going through their life for the first time. Everyone makes mistakes. I'm no perfect person, and neither is she. Like I said, it's absolutely nothing personal. Do I wish that things could have been different between us? Absolutely. But it's nothing personal at the end of the day. This is nothing but a learning lesson in my life. From the bottom of my heart, I wish her the absolute best. I just never want to hear about it. That's my story. Peace.